Welcome to the Single Malt Review. Dave and Tim here. It is Whiskey Advent, day 12 of our Drinks by the Dram Advent calendar. It is the ultimate whiskey of ultimate destiny.
Or so we hope.
Yes.
It's one for all the marbles, or that's not true. Here's the marbles arrayed before us, and we've done all right. We've done pretty well. I think we're getting better. We can say that much. But can we save face on this final one, or will they diddle us with another one from Ireland or another super curveball from the States? No, this one's extra protected for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Can't resist forever. Oh, it looks like we shot at this box. This box has really seen. This box has look about as rough as we do after all of this.
It is borderline indestructible.
Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, it's done well. It's something anti-tamper. Say that much. Right, better open it. Oh.
Typically, you get something pretty spectacular on the final dram in any calendar.
You'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, really? Thank you.
And yeah, there's some aroma coming out.
Very bold colour here too. This is extremely dark amber.
Right.
It's not up there with a very dark bourbon.
Oof, okay.
But by maybe the Scotch standards, this is an old whiskey. Oh, that is rich.
There's a concentration
It is a heavy, syrupy nose on that.
I think we are dealing with A, Scotch, B, sherry matured. Scotch for sure. For sure. There's no other explanation. Goodness me. But it's not. There's no prickle here. This is certainly mature. I'm not going to say
it's aged enough to soften it.
I'm not going to say old, but if this is more than 43%, I'll be very surprised. This is extremely soft. So this one has been. This is very different from what we've been tasting.
Yeah.
Of the Scotches we've encountered, the ones that haven't been full on peated like that Colila, even that Colila, they've been very bourbon kind of nuanced, except for I suppose the Glenfiddich had a bit of sherry character to it, but they've been pretty much, we've been dealing with lighter bodied whiskies, which actually makes them a little easier to guess, a lot easier to guess for me, because in lighter body you get distillery character coming through rather than wood. Wood, goodness knows, wood's come from a tree, it hasn't come from a distillery, that's going to give you no hints whatsoever. So yeah, as that cask influence piles up on top of a whiskey, the voice of the distillery becomes harder and harder to hear. So this one, hopeful as we may be, might be one of the hardest picks yet. But
smells amazing though. I could happily just sit here and
there's
smell this for
soft
half an hour.
sort of spices in here. There's nutmeg.
There's a rich, heavy wild honey.
Yeah, honey, and there's what are we? There's like chocolate and stuff.
Oh yeah, a few caramelized nuts.
Yeah, all the hallmarks of older sherry matured whiskey, but it is not a sherry bomb. We were talking about this recently when we were tasting the extremely good Allardyce, which given when that bottle got, we sadly threw it away before we looked at the actual batch number. But discussion hot around that one, that may have been 24-year-old whiskey, which would maybe explain a couple of things as to why it scored so highly, because that was a phenomenon of a whiskey. But what wasn't, like its sort of almost sister dram, the Parliament, 21-year-old, it's not a sherry bomb. That's a sherry bomb. Glenfarclas 12, sherry bomb. Arbor, sherry bomb. This one, in the colour, because that's, it's pretty deep, but it's not outrageous, and in the nose it's not outrageous. And I think that's as much as I can do on the nose. Let's see what we've got.
That is, it starts off gentle, but it just builds.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
Smoulders away on the palate.
There is way more vibrancy on the palate than there is on the nose. In fact, if I was doing this without the nose, I'd say, wow, this is 46% at least. And it still may be, but the nose is just so gentle that...
I get the feel this is older sherry matured whiskey. I have an impression of what this might be. I don't want to pin it down just yet, but...
So I don't think this is mature whiskey. This is not old whiskey. Okay. I'm going to say this is not older than 18 years old.
18 is roughly where I was thinking.
All right.
It's not a super high ABV though.
I've got something fulminating in my brain as well. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking this could be the Glenfiddich 18. We've had a Glenfiddich already in this calendar. There is precedent there, and it's been so long since I tried Glenfiddich 18 that I don't recall what it's like.
I think this is definitely not the Glenfiddich 18.
Okay.
Because it's not soft enough. The Glenfiddich 18 tastes like 18 and more because it's top dressed. It's heavily top dressed. It's one of the prestige Glenfiddich releases, and they really dress it up to move. And this one, there's too much youth in it. I don't think it's quite. And here's a couple of things that are making me doubt. If the back of the box is to be believed, there should have been a blend, and there should have been a single grain.
Right.
Well, this is classifying some of the Irish. Yeah, they may be talking about blended malts, and maybe
or
talking
some
about
of the
Irish whiskies. So yeah, because I'm pretty sure this is a single malt.
Right.
So I just have to put those technical doubts out of my mind, or they're going to drive me slowly insane. So I won't do that. What I'll do is add a bit of water. Yeah.
Adding water has not brought out those slightly unpleasant tinned vegetable notes you get from extremely heavy sherry older whiskey. This has stayed pretty much as rich and sweet as it was before, which is nice. Maybe there's a bit more spice, some more cinnamon, but it hasn't gone full Speyside on adding that little dash of water.
Right.
There wasn't a high ABV to begin with. I'm thinking maybe 40 to 43%.
I think this is. Oh. I'll just go and say it. I'll go right out there. I think this is Glenfarclas, either 15 or 17.
Interesting. Independently bottled Glenfarclas?
No, not independently bottled, just Glenfarclas by Glenfarclas.
Right.
They do a 15, they do a 17. I'm not too familiar
Wouldn't it count as independent bottling having turned up in a drinks by the dram sampler?
Oh, no, you're right, you're extremely right. Although, that said, I think these are pseudo-independently bottled. These are bottles that have been purchased and then rebottled. Because I would have... You almost did me on that one. I'd say absolutely, but then there's Glenfiddich and Balvenie all the way through here. And if this was genuine independent bottling rules, there'd be no way. There'd be no freaking way.
No Balvenie as such.
I'm thinking. I may be thinking the previous one.
We did guess a Balvenie for one of them, but
no, I think these are though they have been independently sort of put into samples. I think there's a loophole there which allows them to do it. So I'm staying with the pick on that one.
I'm not getting too many clear spikes, any clear flavour outliers which could pin this down to some location for me. So I'm thinking this is either a Glenfiddich, an older Glenfiddich, but not super ancient, or else some kind of high-end blended malt I'm not familiar with. I'm going to guess Glenfiddich for the sake of entering a guess, basically.
Keep in mind, we've already had one.
Yeah, we had two bourbons out of Buffalo Trace Distillery, and with the Irish whiskey, we've probably been to the same distillery at least twice there. I could well be wrong. I've been wrong many a time these last 12 days.
I'm going to try and narrow this down too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's narrow it all the way. What Glenfiddich do you think it is?
I think could well be the current incarnation of the 18.
Okay.
Well, what does Glenfiddich have in a range of things that don't necessarily have an age statement?
There's the IPA cask, which this is, I'm sure not, and then there's the Project XX, which I'm not sure is still a going concern. I don't think it's either of those. The Project XX does not have an age statement.
We've tried one previously.
But it's not cask strength, but it's something like 48%.
Which this I don't believe
you should see it coming, I think. And for me, I might hone this down, even though my self-lauded ability to check percentages falls away here, because this doesn't quite, it certainly doesn't smell 46%. On the palate, maybe, but I'm thinking Glenfarclas 15 more than 17.
Interesting.
But I know that's 46. I know it's 46 because that's uniquely 46. That's an aberration in the usual 40 or 43% lineup. Glenfarclas 15 has always been bottled at 46, a wee bit higher. So
another possibility we shouldn't rule out is a much older whiskey that has softened down to near a 40% due to passage of time.
it's possible, it just doesn't.
It doesn't have as far as I'm concerned, the flavour heft or the dark colour. Which
all right, well, let's not keep them waiting.
Ourselves and all you good folks at home out of our collective misery.
Oh, Dave was close. Dave was closer than me. It's Balvenie 12.
No, you Dave mentioned Balvenie, and it has come up. It is 12-year-old Balvenie.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So, sister distillery to Glenfiddich. You're much closer than I was.
40% ABV. It is a low proof.
12-year-old Doublewood.
Ah, good. We've reviewed the Doublewood before, I believe, and reviewed it favourably. And I saved a dram so I could try it again, knowing what it is.
Intriguing.
Only 12.
Well, that's a bit deflating for me, but you were nearby at least.
Right.
There's a lot of go between for the Glenfiddich and the Balvenie. There's a lot of similarity in the style there. Interesting. I expected something just a tad wee bit older, but considering how premium the Jolly Balvenie goes these days, this probably was far and away the classiest of the lot of them, although it was must have been running pretty close to that Teeling, because old Irish whiskey like that is not cheap. So interesting, bit of a curveball for the last one. But
So, okay, let's recap our progress today. We started
with
Cold Ela 12. We were bang on the money. Perfect. Wolfburn Aurora. You pictured it was a Wolfburn. Teeling Small Batch. We concluded this was the Balvenie 14-year-old rum cask finish. We were wrong.
That's when the speed wobbles set in on that one.
Now, oceans away, this was the Starwood Solera, superb Australian
all the way from Melbourne, Australia,
which we thought was possibly the Ben Romach and a Glen Glassar or a Speyside blend. Wrong. Day 5, that is. This fella is the first Buffalo Trace, which we thought was possibly an American rye whiskey of some sort. So well off the mark there.
Well, we got the country at least.
Next up, in the back here, this is the Shackleton Blended Malt. We picked correctly that it was a blended malt Scotch whisky. We didn't know beyond that, but I'm willing to give us a point for that one. Moving right along, tis the Glenfiddich 15-year-old Solera, which we thought was possibly a Glenmorangie, Nectador, or La Santa. Again, close, but not quite.
Yeah, could have done better with that one. I think that also marks the oldest stated whisky in the range here.
Quite possibly.
With that old Irish close.
Yeah, the Copper Dog Irish blended malt, which one threw us for a curveball. We thought it was possibly a blended malt. Scotch whisky, I picked it with Monkey Shoulder. Tim left it nice and broad, but it was a blended malt of some description. So I guess, you were correct, it was a blended malt.
So as long as we're giving us the out there, and I think correctly picking an actual one, given how many oodles of them are, that's asking a lot. But
Day 9 was another Irish whisky, the Dubliner. We guessed this was the Loch Lomond single grain out of Scotland. We could not have been more wrong.
No, the curse of the Irish continues on this one.
Day 10 is a trifecta, 3 days in a row of Irish whisky, is the Tullamore Dew 14-year-old, a magnificent old Irish whisky, but one that's certainly new to our palates, which we thought was possibly a lively, spicy offering from one of the great Indian distilleries, Amrut or Paul John. And finally, Day 11, another new one to our palates, McAfee's Benchmark Old Number 8 Bourbon.
Which we incorrectly called 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's just a confusing label because it says Old Number 8 brand, Old Number 8, and that just your mind breaks at that point when you read something like that. So no, goodness knows what age that was.
We did pick it was bourbon though, so we got the basics correct. And of course, finally, we finished on Balvenie.
And Dave was one fence over with Glenfiddich, but we did at least get the single malt and region.
It is one we've tried before, but sadly we've tried so many that it's hard to rack through our mental archives and pick just one out of that lineup.
Yeah, it always is. So, not bad, I'm going to say, not bad. We are improving. This one was always going to be a little bit... Well, no, I say that. Right until we discovered it could come from anywhere in the world, this one was always going to be a wee bit easier because this pretty pedestrian calendar is more sort of off-the-shelf, guessable stuff that's sort of, your friendly neighbourhood drams that you see...
Yeah. Things you actually have a chance of finding and buying in the stores, rather than with boutique calendars which are single cask or independently bottled or just utterly unique. These are at least accessible and available, which is great when you try something like this, find something new that you really like, which we've done. There's a chance to go and buy it, try it properly, keep it on the shelf to savour over a longer period.
Which brings us to, if I've been astute with my production, the 12th of December.
Yeah.
So that means we're just going to have to think of something else to do for the rest of the month. There is something in the pipeline, and it is going to be a bit of a disaster, because it is a bit of a disaster. There was a order complication, which meant something, basically a whole lot of beer turned into a whole lot of gin. So there may be a whole lot of gin in our future, and that's going to be something we have barely touched on. So enjoy watching that beautiful disaster unfold.
It may not be Christmas content, but it'll be over the Christmas to New Year holiday period at least.
But thank you very much for everyone following along. Do let us know things that we have been unable to discern, given that we're not North American whiskey experts exactly. What is McAfee's benchmark number 8? Is it something to do with the antivirus? I don't know. It's the only other McAfee brand that I'm familiar with.
Well, it's in the Buffalo Trace clearly put out some boutique stuff which we're yet to try.
Why was there so many Irishes? Why do this to us? I don't know. These questions we just can't
Irish
answer.
whiskey is taking off and becoming more boutique, more niche, getting more respect, I think. Yeah, in the local scene.
And let us know how you did if you've been scoring along. There's this is one of the more common colours, so I hope it's been in a few people's rotation. And stick around for some more Christmas content. We'll just have to think of something to do. If anyone's got some suggestions, what's the Christmas dram? Is there one? It probably comes from Glendronach, I can probably say that much, but aside from that, you have to scratch around. But anyway, thanks for sticking around. We'll let you get back to your holiday preparations, and we will catch you very soon. Slàinte, and Merry sort of Christmas in a wee bit.